Happy Saturday. Hi.
Hello.
All right. This is another installment from Knowall Paranormal, and today we're going to talk about Quantum Immortality.
Right. Have you ever had something happen that made you question reality itself? A moment where you should have died but somehow didn't, woke up to subtle or huge changes in your world, found yourself in a place that shouldn't exist. Quantum immortality is the idea that when faced with death, your consciousness might jump to another reality where you survive, meaning you never actually experience your own death. Have you ever had a near-death experience that left you feeling like something shifted? So that's what that's about.
So a real-life example that someone believed that this has happened to her, I found on TikTok, was a woman that was in a literal fiery crash. She had been staying in a group home for about a year, and they had gone on a trip, and for whatever reason, they had stacked the luggage right against the emergency exit. She said that they wrecked on black ice, and it caused the bus to flip over. And the bus stopped flipping on the roof. So they were like, the bus was upside down. And the fuel started leaking all down the sides of the bus, and it burst into flames. She said that they had been trapped on the bus for 20 or more minutes.
Wow.
And they're trying to get the luggage out of the way to get to that emergency exit when some bystanders came over and got the emergency door open from the outside. And then they all convened like in the field while the bus burned. And some volunteer emergency services were there to help them. Mm-hmm. What confused her was she had been looking at articles about this crash, and it said that the bus had completely burned to the ground in 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. But she felt like it took at least 20 minutes
to
for them
get the stuff out of the way.
Yeah, to just get off the bus, it took 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I understand that, like, you know, adrenaline and stuff, or like being in those panic situations can make it feel like, you know, time kind of works different.
Right, it does. Yeah, things seem to slow down.
And she acknowledged that. Mm-hmm. But then her father picked her up, and they never talked about the group home again, and she's not been able to find any information.
Oh, that's weird.
About this group home that she was in for a year.
So it was like another timeline.
As if she was
like died on the bus.
Yeah. She left it behind in another timeline. This personal story is posted and comes from TikToker Caitlin D. And that's just like one story of many. You can find all kinds of stuff about it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, reality's slippery, I guess. Some of these stories have also led to stories about portals. Portals, natural or man-made, are said to connect different dimensions and timelines. Have you ever stepped into a place and felt like you weren't supposed to be there? Seen someone or something vanish into thin air? I haven't seen that
Not
ever.
Personally, no.
A woman shared a story from a hospital bed in a neck brace, sharing the moment she and her children left the grocery store in their car. As she was driving, she glanced down at her phone for a few seconds. When she looked back up, she was suddenly 30 minutes from her last location.
That's crazy.
The children noticed and started to ask questions when they were hit by another car. The people that hit her said the car appeared out of thin air. This personal story had come to us from TikToker SS Diamond. This isn't the only portal story out there either. There's a lot of portal stories out there. So what do you think?
That's crazy. I think that's crazy.
Is that a portal or a time slip?
This is our cat.
I guess that is a portal.
I'm not just making weird noises. We have a cat here.
Or, yeah, these are cat nerds.
So, time slips, too. Time slips happen when people suddenly find themselves in the past or future, only to see it looking completely different, as if you've time traveled. Mm-hmm. Bold Street in Liverpool has a reputation for time slips. Stories of time slips have been coming out of that area since 1996.
Well, that's a really old part of the city, I believe. I think that's like why, you know.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. One such story is in 1996 when an off-duty police officer was with his wife on Bold Street. His wife went into a bookstore called Dillon's. Frank was following, but was almost hit by a car on the road. When he looked back at the bookstore, it wasn't there and said it was a clothing store called Cripps.
No affiliation with the gangs.
Right? When he looked in the window, it was all women's clothing that was very out of fashion. Everyone in the store were dressed like it was the 40s and 50s. Ooh. A young girl walked past him still dressed in the 90s fashion, so he chased her into the store. When they get inside, it's back to being a bookstore. When he asked her if she had seen it, she said she thought it was a new department store, but it was somehow a bookstore. The store Cripps was there in the 40s and 50s, but had been closed for decades already at this point. Now, this is a famous story on the internet. You'll see it on a lot of threads. But I heard it's bunk. I heard that there was never a bookstore there, and it was a baby clothing store at one point. So that one might be fake, but it's a famous story, so we threw it in there.
But it's also not the only story that comes out of that area.
Right, yeah.
Like in 2006, a guy named Sean was caught shoplifting, and he ran on that street. And he ran down the alley away from security. The alley was a dead end. And when he turned around, the security guard wasn't there, so he just headed back out. When he came back out, everything was different. He didn't recognize anything, not the cars, the shops, or clothing. It was just all very, old,
Yeah.
And he checked a newspaper kiosk, and the date was May 18th, 1967. So he started, to panic, and he started running down the street. At one end of the street, it was 2006. At the other end of the street, it was 1967.
Oh.
The security guard stated that while chasing Sean down the alley, Sean just vanished into thin air just right in front of his eyes.
Oh, wow.
And Sean's story has, to this day, never changed. And his description of the street matches what it looked like in 1967.
Oh, wow.
So, I don't know. Maybe there's something to it, but, why that particular street? Why doesn't that happen on any other streets? There's a lot of places with history.
Right, yeah. Well, maybe something traumatic happened there. I don't know,
It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
maybe there's a ley line, a lot of stuff like that.
You got a clothing store from the 40s or 40s and 50s, and the street turning in 1967. I don't know. We might maybe have to look into what else has happened in that time frame in that area.
Yeah, true. We can check that out.
Just interesting stuff.
Well, that was our show on immortality, quantum immortality, not immortality, which would be great.
Portals and time slips.
Very interesting. Let us know what you think. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.